Well. Dynasty or Dynasty, whatever realm you're from in the world of pronunciation, has been and gone, and we are here to discuss what, in many ways, was a unique pay-per-view in the pantheon of AEW, because a lot of stuff happened, but a lot of stuff really didn't need to happen. This is what we'll be discussing today, folks, as I, the giraffe me, Jeremy Graves, am joined by the Boo, Matty Boo Twitches. And we are here to talk about Dynasty 2025, which took place this past Sunday at the time of broadcast. And if you're watching us live, as it were, not after the fact, but both over on Twitch and on YouTube, you of course can post your comments as we go. And you never know, we may get to reading out some of those as well. But we will be talking about the pay-per-view as a whole, a couple of other bits and bobs here and there. And I think to begin proceedings, Mr. Matty Boo, the Boo Twitches, I think that the easy question to ask you is thumbs up, down, or in the middle for this pay-per-view?
I mean, honestly, it depends on who started the fight, Crystal or Alexis. But you know, some of the really catty episodes usually draw a high rating. So for me, I think this one is a bit of thumbs in the middle, mate.
Do you know what? I'll agree.
Yeah.
Me being the staunch AEW fan as I am, I think this pay-per-view had some really good stuff on it, but this is probably one of the... how many reviews have we done of AEW pay-per-views? But this is the first time in quite a while where I actually thought, why is this on the show at times? Like, there are just some things which I thought could have worked really well on a Dynamite or maybe saved for a different show. This is one... We were sort of talking before we went on air, and I think you actually summed it up best with a word, which I don't want to use in the context of AEW pay-per-views, but this is the most filler-feeling pay-per-view from AEW in quite a while. But I should add, not necessarily filler in terms of content, but in terms of the content presented.
I mean, absolutely. This pay-per-view was pretty much an announcement that could have been done as an email, basically. If you really want me to go and fully elaborate on my feelings on this one, because this was a 12-match pay-per-view, Jeremy, that could have been done in at least, let me have a look at the thing here, 5 or 6, basically. It could have been done in 5 or 6 matches. And the quality of the matches were absolutely good, as we come to expect from an AEW pay-per-view. But the question you have to basically ask yourself, and we're going to be saying this a lot, was why? Whether it's results, or why was this in the card, or why was this placed on a certain portion of the card? The fundamental question when it comes to Dynasty or Dynasty or even Dallas, if you don't know your soap operas, is why. But we will get to that. I will elaborate more on the whole filler thing, because I said this to Jeremy, and I'll say to you guys, I had this feeling about Dynasty last year, and it's slotted in a very precarious position. It has to follow Revolution, who Revolution is a pay-per-view both me and Jeremy love. It's always one of the creme de la cremes of like AEW pay-per-views. And then that following Dynasty, we've got Double or Nothing, which is the big anniversary show. That is the thing that kicked AEW off. So they consider Double or Nothing a big thing. And then we got All In on the horizon as well. And then here's just Dynasty, just chilling out, relaxing, knowing its role, knowing its place in the world. And the fact that Triller even put this in as a bundle with Revolution, which they knew people would buy, says an awful lot about Dynasty, really. But anyway, what did you think, Jeremy?
I enjoyed this show, but so this is one of the few times in recent memory where I didn't watch. So, cards on the table. I really enjoy watching AEW. Like, as a whole, if anything, Dynamite every week is a kind of reminder of, man, there's sometimes you just get to a feeling where you're like, I kind of feel like I just need a little bit of a break from wrestling. This is going to sound really weird, but roll with me on this. You think, I just need like a couple of weeks off, but I'll watch Dynamite. There'll be some good stuff on it. And then I watch Dynamite and go, holy crap, this is why I like Dynamite every week, because it's so damn good. There are so many good matches. I'm well up for this pay-per-view. And this pay-per-view, I was excited for it. And admittedly, because I hadn't watched Collision or really been online very much, just because life, I didn't know that a bunch of Owen Hart tournament matches were on this show. So when they started cropping up, I was like, wait, what? I was very confused.
Owen is a weird one this year because there's been no Martha Hart. There's no title belts. It's literally just the cup itself. And it's just there. They've done no... All we've had is a bunch of the roster announce themselves for it. And that's it. Like this is basically a really pared down version of the Owen this year. So it is what it is. I think it's like their equivalent of the New Japan Cup now. Honest to God, I think that's it now. Maybe it's because some of the people that are in the Owen this year have been in it before. And I think it's fundamentally like a fuel to certain storylines that are going to be cropping up soon. We will get to that. But yeah, it just seems like a real pared down version of it. But the matches that we had for the Owen in Dynasty were
good. At the very least, were good.
Were good. Some were fine and some were excellent. I'm looking at you, Ospreay and Kevin Knight, for instance. And then we had Julia Hart and Mercedes Moné. However, I'm going to say this again. These could have been on a Dynamite or Collision. And I'm not... The quality of the matches were incredible. You know, I enjoyed watching them. But we're already on an overstacked pay-per-view here. And there will be a point... There was points where I was like, come on, guys, we need to hurry this up now. We need to wrap this up because I'm starting to wane. And so did some of the audience, it appeared. But yeah, it's like, I appreciate what you guys have done. You could have done this literally anywhere else. So that's my overall feeling on this one. But what did you think?
Like I say, enjoyed the show as a whole. I was surprised that some of the matches were happening when they suddenly were coming out, because it's one of the few times I've not looked at the card beforehand. And I think what this pay-per-view demonstrated was when a match has been built up for a long time in AEW, there is so much going with it and it's such great fun, or just the hype and anticipation. But if there is a match just thrown out on a pay-per-view, some of them on here were kind of examples of, oh, okay, why is that here? That's the way I'll sum it up. But I'll tell you what, we'll get to talking about matches specifically, otherwise we'll sort of be darting around this. But 0 Hour, Matty. I did not watch it. I'm keeping up my streak now of 2 pay-per-views in a row that I've not, apparently. So give us a cliff notes, anything important that occurred on 0 Hour.
The biggest important thing was, Jeremy, they only had 2 matches. Not 4, not 6 like we've had in some, because Tony Khan had a lot of sherbet that day. We had 2. We had Nick Wayne and the crew of Action Andretti and Leo Rush with Kip Sabian and Mother Wayne defeating AR Fox and Top Flight, Dante Martin and Darius Martin with Layla Gray via pinfall. It was a really, really fun match. I really enjoyed it. It was incredible. Do watch it. It is a fun match. That was fine. And then this is the really important one. And I was really, really, really happy when this happened. So Max Caster had his open invitational.
I won't lie, these Max Caster open challenge segments, sometimes I enjoy just seeing, for want of a better phrase, a dweeb just being utterly mullered. Just by some rando, be it someone like a Samoa Joe, whoever, just come out, choke him out, be done. Sometimes I need relief like that.
Oh, you want relief, Jeremy? Okay. And it was a mystery opponent, as it always is, but you thought it'd be like a regular member of the roster. It's a completely repackaged Anthony Bowens, now known as the Pride of Wrestling.
Oh, freaking great. freaking great.
His gear is all different. He now has this sort of crop top like thing like Pretty Deadly has, but it's like styled towards him. He's like he looks incredible. He still has the scissors, but he's holding them up like victory signs. He still has Billy Gunn as his manager. I don't know how long that's going to last, but Billy Gunn was also there, and he defeated Max Caster in 40 seconds.
And that brings the story full circle.
It really, really did. Love this. I love that Anthony Bones is back. Please, 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 Tony. I know that you have so many action figures in your sandbox. I know. But do this for me. Do this for Matty. Strap a rocket onto Anthony Bones because he freaking deserves it. And please give him a lovely, juicy storyline to sink his teeth into because he's incredibly talented. And we need to see more of this guy in action because in those 40 seconds, he packed in so much.
Really happy to hear that Bowens is back.
That was 0 Hour. I was really, really happy.
So that then brings us on to the main show proper. And how did this begin? It started with, and this was admittedly the one Owen Hart tournament match I was aware of because they had pushed this on Dynamite following the tag team match involving both competitors. But we had Will Ospreay v. Kevin Knight. Now, worth noting for a bit of admin, Jay White was meant to be in this tournament, but seemingly, well, in storyline, has been taken out by the Death Riders, but seemingly has some kind of injury that's going to keep him out for a couple of months. So Kevin Knight is effectively the alternate, if you will. And we got Ospreay v. Kevin Knight. And in many ways, I would describe this as a showcase match for Kevin Knight, while being against literally one of the biggest stars in the company, let alone the world. Knight had a lot of control, but ultimately Ospreay was able to string a bunch of moves together as we were coming towards the finish, including like a mini power bomb into a Styles Clash that led to him getting the hidden blade. It was such a good combo.
The other thing as well is that everything that Ospreay was trying to hit Knight with, Knight had a counter for, including multiple attempts by Ospreay to do the Styles Clash. It was so good, Jeremy. It was so good. I did a little bit of research on this guy, and because I've been away from New Japan for so long, like Wrestle Kingdom's notwithstanding, Kevin Knight is a New Japan dojo graduate.
Yep.
He was part of a contract negotiation between WWE and AEW, and he chose AEW. I'd say for him, with the caliber of his wrestling, that's probably the best idea for now. Again, I say, hopefully they do something with him because great work rate from this kid. Absolutely great.
100%. Yeah, he's been a junior tag team champion with Kushida over in New Japan as well. Sort of carrying on like Kushida's Time Splitters new partner thing, if you will, but with a different look. And you know, speaking of New Japan, I actually felt this match had a very New Japan gradual build-up feel to it. Because it was kind of, far be it for me to say, because I'm not a wrestler, I've done some training, but there were some moments in this match where it felt like, has something gone off the rails? But they brought it back down, they got it, they built up, and the final 5 minutes were just like a freaking 100-meter sprint, and it was such good fun. And like you say, hopefully they'll do something with Kevin Knight. I will say that is now, what is it? He's had the match against Jay White on Collision, which he lost, and the tag match with Ospreay, which he won. Now he's lost to Ospreay. So he's currently 1 win, 2 losses in AEW in the space of 2 weeks. It's quite a record.
That means nothing in AEW now. Records mean nothing. Remember when they did mean something?
You know what else we should talk about when something should mean something? The tag team titles.
Oh, God.
Now, again, this is just random scuttlebutt a mate of mine told me, but so the obvious direction from the last pay-per-view, which we reviewed, which was Revolution, following the Hurt Syndicate, say names please, Jeremy, the Hurt Syndicate defeating the Outrunners, they had been building towards Lance Archer and Brian Cage as potential challengers. Seemingly, Brian Cage has got an injury of some kind. Not from like television or AEW. Something occurred elsewhere in genuinely in wrestling, like at an indie event or something. And he's now just off for a while. So that whatever that was, that's been shelved. So they've now brought in Big Bill and Brian Keith from Chris Jericho's Learning Tree to be the new challengers. And this was kind of a rush build, if you will. It was kind of out of nowhere, to steal a phrase from Randy Orton, that they were building this up. And there was like a little promo battle on Dynamite a week or two ago where MVP utterly schooled Big Bill. And you could kind of tell Big Bill was a little bit angry at it, just a little bit. But MVP was like, pun intended, he was freaking dynamite in that promo.
Yeah.
And that led to this match where Big Bill and Brian Keith have got a thing to prove to their mentor, Chris Jericho, because he's annoyed with them. Like, can you guys win something, please? And I will be honest, Matty. Going in, I thought this was going to be good fun. This exceeded my expectations because this came across to me like a fight. And it was just good fun. Lots of power moves, strategy, and it was just a good showing all around by everyone involved. But the big turning point, which is stemming from another storyline happening on Dynamite, is that a few weeks back, MJF was approached by MVP to join the Hurt Syndicate, so it could help him out and whatnot. MJF said no, but I'll go away and think about it. Now he wants in, Lashley doesn't want him in. And Lashley, in essence, going, look, I ain't going to trust you. Who would? Prove yourself. So this was where MJF decided to prove himself by clocking Big Bill in the face with a dynamite diamond ring at ringside. With some excellent meme-worthy faces by MJF on camera, it should be said. That, of course, assuming, and this is my little dig at AEW, much as I love them, that being said, if you could catch the moment happening on camera and not cut away, pro tip would be really good. But stemming from that, ultimately, Brian Keith was left on his own. He got utterly mullered by Lashley and Shelton, and the tag team titles were retained by the Hurt Syndicate. But like I say, that little minor quibble aside, which was a fairly notable quibble because it was the moment of the match that changed everything, this was great fun. Just lots of power moves, like I say, great little showcase. And also, great to see Big Bill and Brian Keith really trying to take it to two behemoths, quite frankly.
Big Bill was great in this. Brian Keith, it is what it is. I think Brian's role in this is to be the best comparison I can give you here, Jeremy, is the Yoshihashi of the group. Or
Mate, if you're comparing anyone to Yoshihashi.
Like, for reals, if anyone was going to take the pinfall, it's okay. I'll do this one. I'll be a little bit less meaner. It's when you got a multi-man match in New Japan and one of the team members is the young boy. You know the young boy's going to eat the pin, aren't you?
Yeah, when the young lion's in there, more often than not, they're going to eat the pin type thing. But
and that
I won't lie. When you said I won't be as mean, I thought, are you going to do a joke here and say he's like on the level of Yoshi Tatsu? And I thought, now Matty, that's wrong. But
no, I'm not.
But the less said about him, the better, quite frankly.
I'm not that nasty. But no, I mean, I'm dipping into my old like New Japan history where Yoshihashi, I hate to say it, was the one that always ate the pin. But yes. But yeah, that's the best thing. I mean, you got to keep Big Bill strong so that Jericho can continue to rip him a new one. Which why? But
find out next week on Dynamite.
Yeah. So I think they had to keep Big Bill strong for this. I heard somewhere on the grapevine that somebody really, really wants Big Bill to team back up with Enzo because he keeps losing his tag partners. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with you on that one, Jeremy. No.
The thing that still I'm gutted about is that his tag team with Ricky Starks was really good fun.
Yeah.
Or what's he called now? Ricky Saints in NXT.
He's Ricky Saints now.
But his tag team with Ricky was really freaking good. And as soon as they lost those belts, just like a puff of smoke, gone.
You know why? Because Big Bill was the diesel to Ricky Saints' Shawn Michaels. Like, literally, what they're trying to emulate now with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So that worked really, really well in their favor. And then, of course, things went awry. But yeah, Big Bill has really proved himself now. And I think, again, do something with him. I'm going to say, I know I get ripped for this. Do something, you cowards.
Well, you know what, Matty? You know who weren't cowards?
No.
This is my attempt at a segue. In the next Owen Hart tournament match, this time in the women's bracket, if you will, the women's brackets, we had Julia Hart against Mercedes Moné, former TBS champion against current TBS champion. This was a nice back and forth match. Julia, during the match, had a really nice tarantula tribute to Tajiri kind of thing, which Taz got a little pop at because, they're in Philadelphia, so ECW and whatnot.
Yeah.
There were some good little one-liners from Taz in this, actually, on the show relating to ECW. There were little, nods and stuff. But the big moment came, Matty, I'll give you a lead in here.
Yeah.
The big moment came when Julia missed a moonsault and got kicked in the face by Moné, kind of double heel style. And this gave Moné the upper hand and hit a backstabber a couple of times and some other offense in between. This then leading to the Statement Maker submission, which Julia somehow was able to reverse into the Heartless, which is her version of a Rings of Saturn. But ultimately, Moné countered that back into her submission, kind of a modified version. The crowd at this point, firmly behind Julia. And it was so cool to see. Just really, really good fun. We got some roll-up attempts at that point. And then Mercedes Moné was able to get what I would describe as the mousetrap style pin. Like Orange Cassidy has used it a few times where he's kind of almost done a Zack Sabre Jr. and somehow tied someone up so much they can't possibly kick out. It was kind of like that, except Moné did that on Julia Hart. And this was a match that felt a little bit rough around the edges at points, but, it happens. But I actually think it added to the drama. Ultimately, really good fun. Mercedes Moné advances, which I think, best one in the world, was kind of a given who her next round opponent could be in the bracket, i.e. Athena.
Indeed, and we're building towards a rivalry between the two of them. And more importantly, Athena back on AEW television.
Yes.
It's been too long. What the hell? I'm going to mildly disagree with you about the quality of the match. I think Julia Hart's had better matches out there, but this was still a good match. So I don't think it's as great as you say it is. I'm going to mildly disagree with it because of the rougher edges. With that being said, I still think it was a good match in itself. Out of the 3 Owen matches, I think it was the lower down on the pecking order. With that being said, I hate to say this, Mercedes Moné is still one of the most selfless performers on there. Again, like all of the complaints people have about Moné, every match she's had now since Britt Baker have been consistently good and has served to put the other opponent over in defeat. Not to the extent that Ospreay's been doing. I think Ospreay's been doing it way better. But I don't think Moné... I think the main criticism about Mercedes Moné is a little bit harsher than I seem to see, if that makes sense. I think she's been doing a really good job her end as well to make her opponents look good. Now, if the booking can just make sure that they do something with her opponents after the fact, that would be good. More Julia Hart on the television, please.
Well, it's funny you mention that, actually, because apparently... in fact, no, disregard. That's a different segment that's been announced with Dynamite. I misread. We will continue. But needless to say, Owen Hart tournament is like the next thing for her at the moment because she's already actually said she wants to go for the world title. So part of me thinks in Jeremy's, let's see if this is a logical way to think sort of sensibility. It wouldn't surprise me if we get some kind of Toni Storm v Mercedes match at some point, be it title for title or just a champion v champion type thing, because Mercedes still wants to get some more belts.
Of course she does.
There's plenty more belts out there.
Absolutely.
Plenty more belts in the AEW cinematic universe.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is now I'm really getting into her run now. She has to build herself up for a massive fall eventually, though, which is what people really want to see. When you're the belt collector, they want to see the house, like the empire you built, crumble. And whoever defeats her is going to be great. I think you've hit the nail on the head there when you said timeless Toni Storm, because I'm going to say this: that lady is carrying the bloody company on her shoulders right now. So to the point where I now refer to her as the real world's champion, because she's doing quite a bit.
Come to think of it as well, actually, on the Mercedes front, I want to say, this is me clutching at straws with my brain as it is today, I think she's got a New Japan Strong Women's title defense coming up, and it's either going to be against Azumi or Mina Shirakawa, because that's happening on the New Japan Strong shows, I want to say. because they've got a couple of US shows coming up. That sounds familiar.
I don't know if it's Mina Shirakawa, because Mina Shirakawa has just finished up with Stardom. So I think
it's all part of the AEW cinematic universe.
I mean, it is, but why would you then put one of the New Japan belts on the person who's eventually just left New Japan? You know, it's doesn't quite make that much sense.
Well, saying that, apparently Kevin Knight has got both an AEW and New Japan contract.
So does Takeshita.
He's got 3. He's got DDT as well.
Oh my God.
He's a freelancing machine.
Oh, speaking of people that like do contracts, Ishii was in 0 Hour, like hanging around, and
of course he was.
He wasn't saying everything, but he was holding a mic, and then eventually he was holding 3 mics as everyone just started giving him a mic. So he's just there, stone faced, holding mics.
I don't know how to respond to that, but that sounds great. So next up, we got a title match. It was for the trios titles, a title which I wish we would get more of, because my God, this match reminded me how much I love trios matches, let alone AEW trios matches. Just 6-man tags in general. I enjoy a good trios match, and this was great. We were getting back and forth action with what's the way to put this? So the story going in was rated FTR, but having a bit of a rocky road relationship here. But they're kind of on the same page going into this match, and seemingly something happened on Collision to kind of cement that. And obviously it's been Dax that's been the one rocking the boat a bit. And what happened was that Cash was going to tag out to Copeland, but Dax stole the tag, which you can't... You could steal it in a way that he got to his hand before... I didn't call him Edge, Adam.
Yeah. Do you want me to clarify what the actual Rocky Road's about? Just so that you got it in your head.
Go on, why not? Let's see if that jogs memory, or 5.
So basically, Dax is the one who is like visually turning heel. Like literally, he's doing all the stuff that's like, you're getting an extra bit aggressive, you're being a bit of a dick. Whereas Cash Wheeler was sort of veering more towards like the babyface sort of role. Like, you don't say this about Cope. Don't do this with Cope. Cope's my best friend. He saved me when I was in trouble. I helped, and I helped him when he came back to wrestling. That sort of thing.
As was documented in the WWE Network documentary.
As was documented. So AEW using a WWE law here, you know. And so Cash was very much verging towards the side of Cope, whereas Dax was like, look, I apologize. I know I'm being a dick. Let's do this. Let's be a trios guy, blah, 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 while still simultaneously being a bit of a knob and him being at odds with Cash. So they were more or less teasing an FTR breakup than anything else. And then fast forward to this match.
Indeed. So there's lots of stuff going on. There's a really fun triple submission spot as well in this match, where like Claudio and Dax both have like a sharpshooter on. They're just slapping each other in each other's faces while their opponents are like being, please help me, and stuff. Very, very good fun. So after all the action that's gone on, it's back and forth. It's really, really good fun. We have Claudio and Copeland on the outside, as were Cash and Pac on the outside. So it's down to Wheeler Yuta, Philadelphia's favorite son, and Dax. They hated him, and it was so good. And Dax in the ring. They were the legal men in the match. Then Copeland gets in the ring, and as you know, both of them, the opponents, Yuta and Dax, are getting up. Copeland's setting up for the spear, and you can immediately think what's about to happen here. You're like, oh no, this is where something's going to happen. Yuta dodges out the way, and Copeland nearly gets Dax, but does the old, whoa there. Sorry, you good? You good? We're good? Yeah. Okay, we're good. And then Wheeler, not missing a beat, just shoves Copeland into Dax. They bonk heads. Copeland goes outside. Then Yuta hits the Busaiku knee, Danielson's old finishing move, and then pins Dax in his hometown, much to the absolute delight of the Philadelphia faithful. They were so happy that this happened. So happy. Read between the lines. But after the match is where things really, really happened. We'll get to that in a second. But Matty, thoughts on the match itself? Because I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it as well. I mean, it was high time that the Trios Championship got contested. And I think this was one of, like, one of the biggest challenges they had, like the biggest this could change hands, because like then you could do something with Rated FTR with those titles, because you had this ongoing storyline. Now we know where this storyline went. We will get to that. But the work rate, I really, really enjoyed. I loved it. Overall, I wish the Death Riders storyline actually went somewhere that isn't what we got, but never mind.
But Matty, we're all in on this storyline for a few more months.
Okay. Oh, cool. For the benefit of those listening on audio, Jeremy just winked at me like, "Hey, see, look, I did a dad pun."
Call it what you want. It's true.
It is true, actually. Yeah, I not much else I can really say about it. Really, it was much like the 0 hour pre-show. It was a fun trios match.
Sorry, just seeing some folks in the chat being like, "He said the line." So after the match, Rated FTR embraced. They lost the match, but they're all still together. And then Cash is like, "Yeah, good stuff. Let's go, guys, because this show is running long." We didn't do that, but that's probably what he was thinking. Then Dax grabs Copeland and does a pile driver on him. At this point, the crowd is like, "Oh, it's happening!" And then Cash gets back in the ring. He shoves down Dax, who at this point had grabbed 2 chairs and was about to deliver a concerto to Copeland. Cash then helps Copeland to his feet. It's like, "You okay? You okay? Cool." Psych! And then sets up for the Shatter Machine double team move on Copeland by FTR. Then Cash is the one that does 2 concertos on Copeland. People are stunned. People are going crazy. Heel FTR is back. They're on the outside on the stretcher that's been brought down, like doing play acting on it with a neck brace and stuff. And then the crowd start cheering them, so they rapidly stop. No, we want to be hated.
Did you see one of the paramedics started the corpse as FTR?
100%.
It's like, have you not heard of kayfabe before, woman?
But yeah, so FTR have officially turned heel. And I really, really enjoyed this turn. It makes sense. Arguably, to your point a moment ago, I would say you could definitely have done a trios title run with Rated FTR. But clearly, the Death Riders thing is going to go on for a while longer, from a trios title sense at least, which I'm totally fine with. And Matty, I don't know how, and my immediate thought was this, and actually it was mentioned in the chat by Sean as well, the somehow make logic of this direction that this storyline must go to is Edge and Christian and FTR. Christian and Copeland. CNC, Christian and Cope.
I think this is a very good idea. Notorious by his absence, actually, for the last couple of weeks, has been Christian, because obviously he's been having issues with Nick Wayne. Nick Wayne's obviously trying to break away now from Christian.
He's giving him the New Japan Best of Super Juniors as well, so that'll probably be a reason for him to be gone for a little while.
Yeah, well, I meant Christian rather than Nick Wayne.
Oh, 100%.
Christian. Right. Christian's been like absent from the patriarchy stuff as of late. He's had his little telling off of the Waynes, as it were, which was very biting. So you'd think, well, he ain't turning babyface. But at the same time, they did the thing where Nick Wayne said, "See, this is what you do. This is what we're going to do." And literally just sort of like knocking Christian down a peg, as it were. But I'm going into business for myself. Before we get to Edge and Christian, though, I would like Edge to take a bit of a break.
Oh, mate, he's having his, like, at this point, every couple of months he goes away for a month storyline.
Good. Let him do that. Let him do that, because
I look forward to him now being in the opening segment of Dynamite
Oh,
tonight.
please don't. We've had the same issue here with him that we've had with Malachi Black, where Ledge has been kind of Teflon, as it were, for like pinfalls and stuff like that, which I never liked. I would like him to take a bit of a breather. I would love FTR to take on the Hurt Syndicate. Let that happen, because as much as they hurt people, Jeremy, they've got to be one of the best tweener tag teams out there because you love them. You absolutely adore.
They're
how
basically the
brutal they
NWO
are.
at the moment. Like, NWO at its peak. In the sense of, like, they're blatantly heels, but everyone likes them.
But you could imagine them also going up against other heels. Like, we were building towards the Murder Machines, who are also heels. So imagine FTR versus, like, the Hurt Syndicate.
It'll be so good.
So you run it back with these two for a little while. Maybe even have MJF involved because MJF has hung with FTR before.
What were they called? The Pinnacle.
The Pinnacle.
I don't know where I pulled that from, but I got it.
Otherwise known as Four Horsemen, but there were like 6 of them. But yes. And then we might have Ledge and Christian, I will continue to call him Ledge. It's a better name than
Call him what you want. His name is Adam, like the other various Adams in the company.
But yeah, much like you, I think that this FTR heel turn was a long time coming. There wasn't really much going on with them, really. And I think FTR will be better served as heels going forward. So I think this was the best move. Do you want to move on? Are we all good?
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's a good time to hand this over to you for a moment, Matty, because I know you'll want to take the lead on this match. Women's World Title. Timeless Toni Storm versus... Hang on, what are they calling her now? It was Megan Bayne, the Megazon, something like that?
Something
She's
like
got
that.
A nickname that I can't remember, and that's a really bad way to segue. But either way, Toni Storm versus Megan Bayne. Megazilla, I almost want to call her, but
This was a very different animal from the Hollywood finale. And I liked it because of that. Toni Storm's matches are becoming less formulaic now, and you're always guaranteed something different in each of her main matches now. And this was no different. I think Megan Bayne is a freaking superstar. I think she is fantastic, and this match proved it. She has lost nothing by losing this match. In fact, the way it went down, it was you could even call it a fluke win on Toni's part.
I'd have called it that.
Yeah. I loved every bit about this. I loved every single thing about this. I also love that there's been a slight change up in Toni's presentation. I heard this said somewhere. It's like Timeless is about to hit her Technicolor era. And she's showing that by having bits of color in her arsenal. In the past, she used to wear a lot of grays, a lot of monochrome stuff. And now she's introducing more color to her stuff, to her attire, to her presentation. They kind of ruin it by showing her in black and white occasionally. I wish they did another filter that showed like old-timey color schemes, as it were. Like a bit of vaudevillain about it. But I loved the opening bit where it was basically Rocky, because everyone keeps going on about Rocky and wrestling for these last 2 years. Look at Jon Moxley.
I was so surprised they didn't have her running up the steps. I was waiting for that in the montage, in the training montage.
Yeah. Absolutely. And even Luther as her manager as well.
So funny.
That was so fun. I bet the old Luther actually broke out during the match as well, where he started screaming and sticking his tongue out and pointing at his head.
Yeah, as he was carrying Penelope away.
Don't go back to being Dr. Luther. This is your best role, mate. Just do that. As far as presentation, Penelope Ford seems to have become Megan Bayne's manager now. She's even dressing up like her. She's got a new ring attire, which is fine. Give Penelope I don't know what I was talking about there, Jeremy.
I was just going to go with it, Matty, but sure,
Don't clip that. You watch. 3 people will now clip that. I cannot gush anymore about this. I love this match. I will say again, Timeless Toni Storm is currently the real world champion. She is carrying all of the promo work, all of the storylines, all of that is on her shoulders. She is, for me at the moment, a better representation of what it is to be a champion in a wrestling company, unfortunately, than Jon Moxley, who I know can do way better than what he's currently got. and a storyline that's was going nowhere, but is now going places which only anger and confuse me. But we will get to that.
We will. I will make a note that, like you said, Megan had a great showing in this match. She kicked out the Storm Zero pile driver after one. It looked like Godzilla rising from the underground, if you will. And Megan just got a load of big power moves. She hit the Fate's Descent, which is her version of the F5. And like you said, Toni basically got a roll up for the win. So it was, they even acknowledged it on commentary of she survived with the belt kind of thing.
After a few near falls in quick succession with one another as well, where we had submission hold to pinfall attempt to submission to pinfall to another pinfall attempt. And then finally, Toni just got the free. And you could see, like, if she just got up just a moment sooner, they would have carried on until somebody got it. And that's why sometimes you don't need flashy to win a match. Sometimes the most effective is the bare minimum. And they did that. And I honestly liked.
It's funny, actually, because I think it's the second women's title match in recent memory where she's won by roll-up. Because she won the title back with a roll-up in Australia.
Yes, she did.
Don't ask me how I remember that at this point. This is just how my brain works, folks. But if this becomes Tony's thing, like when Bryan Danielson had his small package type thing for a while, like, I'll totally take that. Let's do that. That'd be good fun. And next up, Owen Hart men's match. Not a lot to say about this, but was really good fun. It was Kyle Fletcher v Mark Briscoe. Another banger of a match involving these two. They have such good chemistry, such great back and forth action. Kyle ultimately got the win with a top rope brainbuster after countering the Froggy Bow with a kick to the rib. And then hitting what I've described as a high-speed flying Yakuza kick. But that doesn't do it justice, really. But it's Kyle's trademark kick, and then he did the brainbuster. But honestly, this match, really good, really, really good tournament match. Again, would have been perfectly great on Dynamite, but was happy to see it here.
This, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe can teach you how to win a crowd. Because, as you said, this match really didn't need to be on this pay-per-view. It had to follow where we at. A series of fantastic matches. A Mercedes Moné, Julia Hart, Death Riders, Trios match, and then Timeless Toni Storm. It had to follow those three. At this point, the crowd were absolutely exhausted, and they picked it up. And they got the crowd invested because the caliber of Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe should never be sniffed at. They got me in. I enjoyed the match at the end. I really did. I was like, everyone else was like, this. We don't need this right now. And yet, I loved it. Unlike the next match, which we'll get to in a moment.
So, ROH World Title versus Mask. Chris Jericho versus Bandido. Now, this had started from 0 Hour on the last pay-per-view where Gravity's mask got stolen and then eventually was back. And now it's Mask v Title. So basically, there was one way that this logically was going to go because much as I assume Bandido is a very handsome bloke underneath that quite simply amazing mask, I didn't see him losing. That said, there was a 4.5 minute period where I did think he'd lost. So fair play to everyone. But ultimately, this came down to skullduggery. Brian Keith came down still nursing the beating he had earlier in the tag title match to distract the ref, which led to Gravity, Bandido's brother as previously mentioned, to come down and fight him. During this time, Jericho grabbed his trusty baseball bat, which was hidden somehow between the ring steps in a very acute, awkward angle, but he got it out. And then he clocked Bandido with it and pinned him. Bandido, well, actually, yeah, they're all the same family. The family members, the mum and the sister were at ringside. They were not happy. They were upset once again. We were getting threats of Bandido's mother crying once again on live global pay-per-view. However, referee Aubrey was going over to speak to them because, as far as I'm aware, I think she genuinely is like fluent in Spanish.
She is.
So she was talking to them and they started going, no, he cheated. He used a bat. And Aubrey kind of gave that look of, show me.
Yeah.
And then they came round and then it took a couple of minutes and eventually they got the bat out and the match was restarted. Bandido hit some moves. We got the 21 plex that worked this time because it got a bit awry earlier in the match. And Bandido got the win to become a 2-time ROH World Champion. And Chris Jericho not only lost the title, but a tooth as well.
This has been the best match Chris Jericho has been in quite a while. I wish I cared. I wish I cared, Jeremy. But also, number one, so we can restart matches now, can we? For interference, yeah?
Oh, but Matty, this is Ring of Honor's title. It's not an AEW championship.
And now we got a Ring of Honor champion who's champion because he got a note from his mummy.
There have been more skullduggery-based things, I'm sure, that have happened with that ROH belt in recent years. At least it's skullduggerable. It's like, that's not a word.
Do you know what? It should be. This match annoyed me. It annoyed me so much.
This is an example where this match could have been on Dynamite.
Yes,
I understand why it was on the show. Like,
and very nearly wasn't.
Thing. But the other thing is, this is a really random note. I get Bandito as being an outlaw. I love Bandito's presentation. It's such a good look. I want him to wear more colourful ring gear because you can't see the intricacy of his mask with it being all black. You can't see it's like a mask above his eyes and head, and then the actual like bandana part is actually cloth. It's such a cool look if you go back and look at indie matches of his, like pre-COVID, if you will, like the multicolour version of him. I want him to go back to being just all colourful. Also, I will say, really cool moment, though I don't know if there's been a translation of it yet. Normally, from our point of view on the English language feed, we get people on commentary like Don Callis, but this time Bandito took a headset from one of the Spanish announcers and was doing like a victory speech with his family, and it just looks such a cool moment. I hope they show a subtitled version of that on Dynamite and stuff, or they put if there isn't one already, because I want to experience that moment, because that was a really cool moment, genuinely.
There needs to be a slight bit of rehabilitation with Bandito, and to be fair, Ring of Honor in general, but definitely Bandito, because my main takeaway of this, Jeremy, was the last time we got interference involving somebody's mother, Buff Bagwell was in the company.
Judy Bagwell on the pole. There must have been another. Actually, no. Actually, no.
We did have the actor pretending to be Shelton Benjamin's mum for a little bit, and that wasn't good. But
let us know if you can remember another wrestling mum that's been involved, folks, in storyline.
They rehabilitate Bandito. I'm glad they took the belt off of Jericho, for God's sake. Because
he beat Briscoe for it, right?
I think so.
It's still Briscoe's like belt with like the camo style strap on it.
Is it? I think they just changed. I think they just changed the strap into silver.
So, I don't know, but I think it went Briscoe, then Jericho.
Yeah,
because Jericho kept mentioning Jay. We're deviating, but we're here till 6:15. It's fine. So then it was Jericho, then lost it. No, Mark Briscoe got a rematch, didn't win it, and then Jericho's just been champion apparently since. There you go. I think that's how the title history works. Someone will correct me. You know what title history we should talk about? And when things being on a show, TNT title match, Daniel Garcia defending against Adam Cole. Now, the big thing about this, no time limit, no outside interference. This is stemming from previous matches that they had, of which I will say, no outside interference is a very... I don't like that as a phrase. I get it's because Shane Taylor Promotions got the name in the end. I get it's because Shane Taylor's group stopped the match, interfered. I would really prefer no outside influence, because that could imply managers, it could imply people getting involved. Just no outside influence, just the match. I'd much prefer that as a phrase, please. So, this was a good match. The problem was, after that moment with Jericho and Bandito, and given at this point we may have been roughly 3.5 hours into the show, or 3 hours-ish, give or take, this just didn't fit where it was. It was the wrong match. It was the wrong match at this time in the show. And that's ultimately what hurt it quite a bit, in my opinion.
I'll tell you what this is. I talked about when we start going, come on, we need to start wrapping this pay-per-view up. That was happening We had a slight stay of execution with Carl Fletcher and Mark Briscoe because they were that good. It definitely started happening again with Bandito and Chris Jericho because nobody really wanted to see it. We were definitely there by the time Adam Cole and Daniel Garcia had their match. And it took a monumental amount from the match that followed to get people's energy levels back up. But it was a case of, holy balls. It's just that we're done. I'll be honest with you, Jeremy. Throughout a lot of that match, I was doing other things. I went to the kitchen, sorted myself out with drinks and stuff. I was looking at my phone. I was talking to people. I think by this point, we also had the Dekker Dane stream on as well. So it was like anything but this now. I'm so done with this show. And we still had the big trio, the big fatal three-way match to come, you know?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do sort of what I'll call a quick recap. This is what I noted about the match, because the match itself was actually pretty good. The problem is, like I said, where it was in the show, it was very difficult to focus on it. It just was. No, if it had been earlier, heck, first match on the show, this probably would have gone over really freaking well. So here is the crux of what occurred. First of all, Cole is the new champion. We have a new TNT champion. Daniel Garcia has been dethroned. Adam Cole's first singles championship in AEW. There you go.
Yep.
So Cole's mucked up foot came into play once again, which I hope eventually will be dropped as a story, because I get it was a really serious thing. But if he can just jump from the ring apron down to the floor and it's going to hurt him, why do it? Anyway, that aside. So that came into play throughout the remainder of the match. But this also led to a change of mentality in Daniel Garcia, because rather than being his usual technical-based self, he started having a mentality more of wanting to hurt his opponent rather than just simply beating them. Which I think that's happened maybe once before when it was him and MJF having their feud. But we've not seen that since. This ultimately led him to doing other uncharacteristic things, including even doing Adam Cole's own moves, like the Panama Sunrise and the Boom Knee. But Cole eventually was able to hit 2 Panama Sunrises. I think that's the plural. Don't know. Followed by the Boom to get the win. Garcia was obviously dismayed, but there was a handshake after the match. And everyone was happy to see Cole win. But the fact of the matter is, where it was in the show, it didn't work. And it's a shame, because they deserved a far better opportunity to have this match.
Do you know what else is a shame, Jeremy? The fact that Daniel Garcia did not join the Blackpool Combat Club when Daniel Bryan gave him the invite, because you imagine Daniel Garcia with this mean streak in that lot. It's like he's a better fit, Jeremy.
All I will say is, when William Regal said to someone once, well, if he joined the Combat Club, what opponents would we have?
Yeah.
It's just a point. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying.
I know. But Jericho had his little mandibles on him. God darn. I think this is the best showing that Garcia had for a long, long time. I will give it that. I wish I was as invested with this match as I was. It was in a terrible part of the show. If anything, it could have been a great opener, but look at the opener we had. Yeah, I think they did the right decision, changing the belt. I think it's going to be better with Adam Cole. Adam Cole should turn heel because he's a much better heel. I will keep drumming that, blinking fanfare across the aisle. He's a terrible babyface. But then what do you do with Daniel Garcia? Because my overall thought when he gave him the handshake and then he just dropped off the canvas was, well, I ain't going to see you for a while now. Because we've seen this happen. We've seen people just disappear. And I could see this happening with Daniel Garcia.
Maybe the Death Riders will want to get someone else into the fray. Maybe.
We can only hope.
There you go. Anarchy in the Arena will be coming up at the next pay-per-view probably, so they've got to build that somehow.
Oh, God, no.
But before we get to that, we need to talk about the international title match. And I say before we get to that, that's next month. But this international title match with Kenny Omega defending against Speedball Mike Bailey and Ricochet. In as succinct a way as possible, Matty. Holy shit! This match was something else. This was just, I'll read my exact notes. This is nuts. It's so innovative, so captivating. Just 3 people at their best. Everyone is lapping this up. Oh my God.
Without looking at the time code, Jeremy, how long do you think this match went on for?
I'm going to guess in the region of 30 minutes.
31 minutes.
Oh.
Because I thought you were going to say it didn't feel like that.
Oh, it didn't, but I'm thinking it definitely went on longer. I only know that because I was getting some text messages while I was watching the show, so I kept seeing the time on my phone. But this match was so good. And so, some other choice moments from the match, and then I'll get to how it ended.
Yeah.
First of all, there was a spectacular moment where Ricochet was on commentary for a few minutes, letting Bayley and Omega do something. But he started getting distracted and started talking to the commentary team. And then Bayley just appears and just kicks him in the face. It was so good. There was a fantastic double pinfall moment. Like they kept doing double pins on each other, like a double backslide and stuff like that. It was so innovative. Also, Taz was having a freaking field day getting to call taekwondo moves because of Mike Bayley. He was like a kid at Christmas, was Taz. It was so good.
Oh, Taz loved it.
But ultimately, the action is in the corner. Both Ricochet and Mike Bayley are in the corner respectively. Omega climbs up and he goes to position Ricochet for an avalanche one-winged angel, which I want to say is the first one-winged angel we may have seen since Omega's return. I'm probably wrong on that. He might have at least done it in Australia, but I don't recall having seen that move for quite a while.
I swear he's done it at Wrestle Dynasty.
I digress, maybe. But since he came back, though, who knows?
Yeah.
So, we saw this avalanche one-winged angel, and we were thinking, oh, Bayley's on the rope. What's he going to do now? But then he falls back with his legs tied in the corner. He's in the tree of woe. He can grab Ricochet's boot just about, but can't grab it enough. And that is how the match ends. Just freaking amazing match. I loved this. Was it too long? I could totally understand if anyone says that, but I loved this match.
So did I.
This delivered. Perfect.
It brought me back. This is the match that brought me back after a long slump, and I agree with everything you said. I think Speedball Mike Bayley, shoot them to the moon. I mean, seriously, if you want contenders for the TNT Championship, they should be there. Just so you guys know, because there've been some mispronouns banded here and there. Speedball Mike Bayley is non-binary, so they go by they, them pronouns.
Noted for the future, I was not aware of that.
Yeah, we go. And his spouse is also non-binary, so they're both they.
Vader Scott, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, shoot them to the moon. I would love to see him in contention for a title. Make it be it the TNT title, be a great foil for Adam Cole. I think the chemistry between him and Ricochet is incredible. I think the chemistry between him and Kenny Omega is absolutely astronomical. I would love to see them two fight again sometime down the road. But let's segue this down to the actual main event of the stare down between Kenny Omega and one Kazuchika. Oh God, I say his name.
Just say Okada, mate. Just say Okada.
Okada. I can normally say his name. That's the thing.
Kazuchika Okada. So
there we go.
The amusing part about this was, at this point, the show is in the region of 4 hours long. And in the building, it's 11:30 at night. So it's just going so long. And Okada comes out, they have the stare down, and then Omega just leaves. And there was an amazing line from Excalibur on commentary. I don't know if you heard.
Yeah.
He literally said something to the effect of, well, we haven't got time to talk to you about their history tonight because they're running so long. And Taz just went, you're right. Because the show at this point was 4 hours long. But yeah, so that's clearly going to happen at All In. They're building it up. One assumes come Double or Nothing, we're going to get something more impactful occurring between these two, be it another notable stare down or maybe something actually happening. This is building, and it's going to happen at All In.
It's incredible. I'm looking forward to it. I absolutely am looking forward to it. What I wasn't looking forward to, and bloody hell, Jon Moxley with Marina Shafir facing off against Swerve Strickland with Prince Nana, Jeremy.
Okay, so I get the feeling we might have a difference of opinion about this match. Like, more so than earlier. Like, it was only the women's match, really, that we just had a I say we disagree, we had a differing opinion. Because, first of all, I will say this. I really enjoyed this match. Really enjoyed it.
I'm going to agree with you to a point. I absolutely enjoyed the match. I enjoyed everything about the match until the end.
This is where we may differ. Let's discuss what happened first of all. So, first of all, Swerve coming out with Static Shock. Mwah! Freaking great moment. Last year, Black Panther. This time, he's Static Shock. Freaking amazing. The general story of the match, as I've got it written down in my notes as I was watching this thing, is Mox is continuing to be a bulldozer with his opponent having to survive, which Swerve was actually able to do very well. Some key moments of the match include Mox attacking Swerve's forehead, a la Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, just like elbows to the forehead and stuff, trying to make him bleed. There was a double foot stomp off of a ladder through the commentary table that Swerve looked like also seemingly tweaked his knee or ankle on. This then played into the match later. Swerve being able to go toe-to-toe with Mox during some big exchanges. And the ref utterly eating a chair like it was thrown as a baseball pitch.
Yeah.
Just freaking great. Also worth noting that Mox accidentally hit Marina Shafir with a cutter after Swerve had sidestepped Moxley, thus leading to everything that happens next. So, both men are out on their feet, like, near enough. Both have just been so much going on. They've both pummeled each other. Hangman Page comes walking down. No, he doesn't walk down. He's pacing down, as it were. And following the segment on Dynamite, which I will say, Matty, I think is one of the best segments on Dynamite that's happened backstage, the thing between Swerve and Hangman, because it looks like they're about to go toe-to-toe. Hangman is shouting at him, I'm going to make sure you never get that title. You'll never have it. And Swerve just going, dude, move on. You've already beat me to hell and slammed a chair through my head. What more do you want? And then he just says, you broke into my home. It's like, you burnt down my home, says Swerve in response. And then Hangman goes, you deserved it. And then all of a sudden, Swerve then just said, I know. And there was a light bulb moment from Hangman where he's like, What? What did you say? Swerve just goes, I deserve it. And Hangman walks back in shock and turns around. This is the follow-up. He's clearly coming down to get Swerve. He's looking right at him. And then he's setting up for the buckshot. And then he turns his head and looks at Moxley. And for that brief moment, you're like, oh my God, he's going to help him. At which point, Death Rider time. The Death Riders come out. They start pummeling Hangman. This then leads to the Ops, Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata coming out, who said they were going to keep watch on things. They come out, get rid of the Trios champions, so that's a direction we're going in now. I'm all for that. Then, following this, Swerve is able to get some more offense on Mox. Hangman is just in a heap on the ring, outside the ring, just in a heap. Swerve's able to get some offense on Mox. He then starts pulling Mox's body towards the corner. And after all the pummeling that has been dished out by both men, Swerve begins to climb the corner. There's no one else around. It's just Mox and Swerve. Suddenly, everyone in the building suddenly goes, oh my God, he's going to do it again. 2 years in a row. Oh my God, it's going to happen. Swerve climbs that corner. Everyone is on their feet. They're waiting for it. Swerve hits the double foot stomp. He clutches his knee because, you know, he's been mullered, quite frankly, by Moxley. He's trying to crawl over to him, but there's no ref because he ate a chair and then some earlier. Then the lights go out. When they come back on, Swerve is in the middle of the ring with his arms out, and holding each arm is a young buck. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson are back. They deliver the BTE trigger. Mox pins Swerve, almost having that reaction of, all right, and then pinning him. And then he pins Swerve. Jon Moxley retains the title. Hangman, I don't think has fully realized what's happened because he's just staring at the lights after everything that happened to him. The Young Bucks are basically going through the crowd, sort of celebrating / being dicks, as it were. And the show goes off the air with Swerve clearly annoyed, the Bucks exiting through the crowd, and Hangman confused as to what the heck happened while looking like a heap of humanity on the floor. You can probably tell from the tone of my voice, Matty, I will fully agree there was far too much that happened, but I thoroughly enjoyed this, and just the match as a whole, I was very happy with it.
So where do you think this is going?
Okay, I'll tell you where I think it's going. The Young Bucks, the Hangman, and Swerve. To me, that's the next logical direction. And then stemming from that, we'll then get a coming together of AEW, if you will, to then go and finally get rid of the Death Riders. That's how I think I see this going.
I'm glad you mentioned that portion, because if you dial it back, the Young Bucks burnt all of their secret memos and stuff like that and fled to Japan. I have questions. Chiefly, it felt like Scapegoat Jack Perry was in their ear, because you thought there's something clearly going on with him and the Death Riders. Where the hell is Scapegoat Jack Perry?
I assume he's stuck in it. I'm assuming that bus or truck that he had, I assume it just broke down on the highway. He doesn't have a phone to actually call anyone to help him.
All of the Death Riders' original promo stuff was all about people with heightened egos, especially those higher up in the company and stuff like that. That's clearly aimed towards the Young Bucks. Why are they helping the Death Riders? And why are the Death Riders allowing it?
Well, sometimes, Matty, there's the phrase of, if you can't beat them, join them.
I didn't like this, Jeremy.
Fair, absolutely fair, mate. Absolutely fair. I appreciate I may be in the minority.
It made zero sense to me. It felt like, yet again, they're keeping a holding pattern for Mox to keep hold of that belt in a suitcase and waiting for somebody to get off a mountain so that he can win it off him that way. To which I say, does it really need to be for a title? Because the storyline dictates you can actually just have them fight without that title. But instead, it's literally being held to ransom. And you don't even see it. It's only ever shown in graphics. Maybe I'm being worked as the big old mark I am. Who knows? Who knows, Jeremy? But this left me cold. It really left me cold. And yet again, on the second pay-per-view in a row, the ending of what happened is what you're left with. And what you're left with is,
I mean, is there definitely a question of why exactly the Bucks are back? Absolutely. But I'm very intrigued. So, and this is the funny thing as well, looking back at this, despite us talking about it and both giving it a thumbs in the middle, my opinion is probably very much like a thumbs in the middle towards a thumbs up, because I enjoyed this show. It's just there are definitely things that didn't need to be there.
Quality of the matches, always up there. But my overall comprehension and understanding of the pay-per-view itself has to be there. And what you're left with is also, So Dynamite have got to really pull something out of the bag for them to win me over for this storyline now to work. If they really do.
So mentioning that then, because I think pay-per-view talk has come to a close, so you might as well make mention of this. Announced for Dynamite as things stand for tonight, in case you're watching this after the fact, we have got, apparently for the first time ever, we're going to have, as part of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, we are going to have Chris Statlander, the Thunder Rosa, with Toni Storm on commentary. Then, back in in-ring action for the first time ever, it seems like, in an intense battle, per this tweet from Senior TK himself. Pac versus Swerve. That's going to be...
That's going to be so good.
And then also announced for the show, stemming from what occurred during the Mox and Swerve match, we have got Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli against the Ops duo of Samoa Joe and Hook.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's going to be fun. That's going to be
Yeah.
fun. But also, it's obvious that the Ops are now going to gun for the Trios Championships.
Yeah.
And I really, really like the Ops. I love their like Pulp Fiction swagger about them. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that stuff. The stuff that I'm really, really looking forward to. It's just that they need to do something about this Death Riders thing now, because what the promise that they showed us at the start of this storyline is now taking too long to tell, and it's just gone places that no, that something needs to be done about this, and real soon. And I think if you look at Mox, he's doing some great matches. It kind of feels like he's checked out the storyline a little bit.
I mean, put it this way, it's clear we're in a holding pattern until All In, but Double or Nothing, as you said at the top of the show, is the anniversary show.
Yeah.
So they're going to do something big for that. Then it's just television, I think, until All In. Of which, speaking of All In, are you aware about something relating to All In from a UK perspective?
No.
Do you know what the start time is, Matty?
Oh, what's the start time?
8 p.m. UK. They're doing it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Texas, I believe because WWE's running a Saturday night's main event at the same time, or later in the day. So that means, from a UK perspective, we still get to watch it at a decent time.
We will talk about something after the stream, Jeremy.
Yeah, we'll have a chat also. yeah, it's so there, just throwing that out there, folks. We're gonna have a good time. But that has been our discussion, our review on AEW Dynasty, however you want to pronounce it. And that's going to wrap up the show, basically. Make sure, if you haven't already, you've given us a follow or a subscribe, depending on if you're on Twitch or Twitter here at BunkaMania UK. You can also find ourselves individually, if you feel so inclined. You can find Matty over at Matty Boo Twitches on Twitch. If you want to find me at your own peril, easy way is linktree/Giraffamy. That's where you can find my links to various things that I do as well. We're going to wrap it up for tonight, but Matty, before we do properly, because I do legitimately have to be out the door in a couple of minutes, any final closing thoughts?
That's my
there you go. That's the final closing thought right there on screen. Dinner ready in 12 minutes per Matty's wife. There you go.
Any closing thoughts about this show?
Or just in general, I'm giving it to you. The floor is yours.
AEW continue to be the work rate company in America, and I still enjoy what they give me. WWE are really, really good right now with their presentation. It is starting to get a bit with WWE where I'm not necessarily eating what they're giving me, but I'm still enjoying the ride that I'm on with them. But AEW, don't sleep on them just because they're not as hot as WWE right now, everybody. And even though I have literally just bitched my ass off about the main event there, give them a chance, because they will surprise you with some fantastic wrestling. If that's not your thing, if you're just there for storylines, that's not necessarily your thing. There's still some diamonds to be found in that rough. Look at the Hangman and Swerve stuff right now. That is gold, literal gold. So don't sleep on AEW. Competition is even now is what's fueling WWE. And we need for all wrestling companies right now to not stagnate, because God, we're in for a heck of a ride at the moment, Jeremy.
We're in for a heck of a ride the next few weeks, because not this coming weekend, but following weekend, it's WrestleMania.
Jesus Christ.
So all I will say, folks, is expect some content from us around that time here on BunkaMania UK. There might, for all we know, there might be watch-along stuff. There may just be reviews. We don't know, because we need to figure it out, because we have lives.
Okay, well, let's pull back the curtain here. Let's be realistic here. 2 of our number are at a convention during WrestleMania. Jeremy's busy as heck. I'm literally the only guy who's sitting around in just my pants doing nothing. So it's you will get WrestleMania content. we just don't know what form it's going to take yet. But
exactly.
we promise you there will be some content coming.
And the best way you can try that again. There you go.
Snap.
Take two. So the best way to keep track of that, folks, is make sure you are subscribed or follow us at BunkaMania UK on Twitch and YouTube. There will be some posts updated there on those channels accordingly. There's a nice little handy schedule page on Twitch as well. So when things have been decided, no doubt you'll be able to find some things on there too. From myself, Jeremy, from Matty, the Boo Della Boo, this has been BunkaMania UK talking about Dynasty 2025. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely evening and enjoy the sunshine. Bye.